made it to Chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channel and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 342 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your co-host, Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Karin Drummond. And if you want to hear the story of coming from a sick kid to a powerful chiropractor, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. We have Karin Drummond here today, coming in from Indiana, and my co-host Luke Millette is coming in from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I think you are in Bloomington, Indiana, right, Karin?
Correct. That's correct.
Awesome. And I'm coming in from Grand Junction, Colorado, and this is episode 342. Can you guys believe it? I can. I was just joking off camera that podcast years are like dog years. And we were having a lot of fun off camera, just joking around. And I was like, oh, we're not even going to do a show today, but I think we should. And then before we get jumping into this one, I just set some ground rules for people to let people know why we do what we do. We do protect free speech in chiropractic with Chiro Hustle, and we do support the subluxation based chiropractor. And these terminologies such as innate intelligence and universal intelligence, we think they're very important for the chiropractic profession. And we also protect the sacred trust. If you don't know what any of that is, go and do a search and find it for yourself. So, Dr. Karin, welcome to the show.
Thank you again for having me.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. I mean, 342 episodes behind our 341 episodes behind us, and here we are.
Well, better late than never.
Well, it's great that you're a part of the tapestry of this greater chiropractic story. And I think that that's the most valuable thing about what we do is we time capsule and document the chiropractic story from the practitioner's viewpoint. So just know your colleagues, your friends and family, your patients, everybody's going to hear this awesome podcast that you do with us. So let's tell them your story. Some people probably known you their whole life and they don't know your chiropractic story. So if you would please just share that with them.
All right. Well, I'll start with my favorite one. It's why I am a chiropractor. I was 11 years old, and ever since I can remember, I wanted to become a medical doctor because every time I had a cough or a sniffle, my mom would take me diligently to the doctor, and they would give me some yummy tasting medicine like bubblegum flavored or whatever flavor I wanted, and I would feel better. And how awesome of a job is that? But as time went on, when you get 6 to 10 rounds of antibiotics a year, by the time I was 11, I was getting quite sick. And they started doing more tests and more medicines and more tests and more medicines, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And finally, one day, I was so sick that they over-medicated me to do a procedure to do some more exploratory things. And they kind of over-medicated me. And they were saying I had to stay now even longer because they were worried I was going to pass away. And so I turned to my parents, and at the young age of 11 years old, I said, this is not right. If you make me stay at the hospital one more night, I promise you I won't make it till the morning. So they signed all the paperwork to release me despite the doctor's strong suggestion I stay. And we went to the quacks. And this is at a time where, it wasn't as accepted as it is today. And my parents were really worried for my well-being. And so, but I tell you what, within a month, after eating better, moving better, and sleeping better, I was healthier. I was getting stronger. I was gaining weight. I mean, to give you an idea of how bad it was, I was 11, so my normal weight was 110, and I went down, and I was a skinny 110-pound little girl, and I went down to 85 pounds. It was bad. But I don't know who can see me now, because if you're on a podcast, you can't see, but I'm fit. I've been doing a chiropractic, which is a very physical job, for 22 years and have a lot of years left in me because I changed my path. I went from over-medicated protocol to no medicine. And I'm not against medicine. It definitely has its place, but if you could do it naturally first, by all means. I've changed so many lives since then. Should I tell the story? I'm getting ahead of myself, but one of my other favorite stories is moving forward years later. I had a girl who was 13 years old, and since she was 2 years old, did not have a bowel movement without assistance. And she was getting so bad that they were talking about removing her colon and putting a bag on her side. And one conversation with me, and changed her diet up. And she had her first bowel movement within 2 days, like one treatment, one conversation. And she's 18 years old now. I mean, you try to have a normal life with a bag on your side. That's just, it's not possible. So, I mean, you could do it, but it's not the same. So I can't tell you how passionate about what I do.
That's the story of you becoming this functional person again, going
Mhm.
on to become a chiropractor. Um, what was it like when you started getting your first adjustments? I know that was a part we didn't
Yeah,
talk about.
right. Well, the ironic thing is it was a very different style of chiropractic. It was very low impulse. Like I didn't even think they did anything. I just remember going, they touched a few things, told me what to change in my diet. Like they would say things like, eat a salad. And I'm like, I'm skinny. I don't want to go on a diet. Like stop eating junk food. But I'm trying to get, meat on my bones. It was just a very different, I mean, it didn't take much to change my health. And yeah,
Do you remember the technique that they were using when they
n-
were adjusting you?
no idea. This was like so long ago. I doubt they're alive today. Like it was like, yeah, I'm like 47 now. If you do the math.
So over the journey of being a practitioner, what have you found being some of your most effective ways of creating business and helping more people?
So over the years, it's definitely changed. In the beginning, if you were in the yellow pages, that was a big deal, and a lot of feet on the ground, meeting people, and that's still important today. But what's fascinating is nowadays there is a whole nother way of reaching out. Social media is huge. You could become an expert in your field by starting a YouTube video or a podcast, as you guys are doing. There's still Facebook for now, but TikToks are so easy to make, and you can get viral very, very easily if you put your effort into it. That's the thing, is the consistency is really, really important. And then another thing is people are always wondering, oh, like, is there room for another chiropractor in this town? They have to understand only 10% of people are using chiropractic. There's 90% of the rest of that population that you can tap into. It's just explaining chiropractic to those I've been interviewing people recently for a job position we have, and I kid you not, there are some people that don't even know what a chiropractor does, and I just can't fathom that. So just getting the word out to people is huge. And also when people do come in, find out what their goals are. Listen to what their goals are. And if you meet those goals, they will refer to you like crazy.
So I know you touched on it a little bit, but maybe you could do a little bit of a deeper dive. What kind of things are you doing for your own personal health now and your family's health too?
Mm-hmm. What's really fascinating is it was nutrition that was the big change for me when I was 11, because my diet was basically sugar and ice cream. But what's fascinating about nutrition is it doesn't have to be that fancy or restrictive. It just try to avoid things out of boxes and wrappers. Even if it says it's healthy for you, chances are it isn't. There's nothing more healthy than nature, right? Moving on a daily basis, get out of the chair as often as possible. And it doesn't have to be like a 2 hour yoga class. I mean, if you just take a moment to roll your shoulders. What I do personally is every morning is it changes up every year. That's another thing, is I get bored very easily, and I'm not one to go to the gym and do a bunch of sets of whatever. But I learned something. Like one year I learned how to do salsa dancing, and I even did pole dancing for a couple of years. It wasn't it was more like Cirque du Soleil pole, but right now I'm learning silks. I run like 1 or 2 miles a day, depending. If I can't run, it's not a big deal. I don't stress about it, and making sure I get enough sleep. I've shifted my hours even later because I've noticed I've been staying up a little longer. So to get my hours in, I've been pushing up my patient hours a little later. And also, what's really fascinating is the more and more you study about longevity, little it's more about the body's strength and functionality than it is about diet and sleep. Because I
Mm.
mean, I know too many 80-year-olds that smoke and like eat, you know, bread and jam, and they're still doing fine. So I think it's the mindset and keeping your body strong. So if you do happen to have a tumble, you have the strength to handle being in a state where you can't move as often as you would for a period of time.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is longevity and adaptability. And
That's a good one.
that's what a chiropractic focus lifestyle is when people do
Yes.
have that going on. Um, I found this interview. I was listening to Joe Rogan when I was down at Austin, Texas, about a month ago,
Hmm.
and I was hoping I'd bump into him, but I didn't. Um,
Ah,
but I was listening to him while I was walking around the riverfront there, and there's this Dr. David Attia I was listening to, and he was talking about you touched on if people stumble and fall as they get older. He said that most of the reason that people die over 60 is because they fall and they don't recover.
exactly.
Um,
It's not the injury itself that got him. It's the
yeah,
not surviving the process of getting well.
Yeah, and he said, "This is you're 47 years young, and this is a mind blower for people." But he said David Attia is a doctor, and he's MD, and he said that people 40 and younger, most of the reason that people die is from accidental overdoses, and
Wow.
60 and above, people die from falling and not
Yep.
recovering.
Yep.
And he said the best way to stave off any type of effect from a fall is by having stronger grip strength,
Oh yeah. Yep.
because somehow grip strength equates longevity and adaptability.
Yep. I do pull-ups every morning. So I want to be in this body for, another easily 47 years.
But yeah, it's really a powerful thing when we think about what you're saying. Taking care of your body with eating real food that is not in wrappers.
Hmm.
Go imagine that's good and healthy for you,
Right. Right.
and getting checked and adjusted for vertebral subluxation.
Hmm.
Who would have thought that that would be something that would help your body adapt and stay healthy? And whether it's somebody that's not feeling well, having bowel movements, or
Right.
whether it's somebody that just wants to have a higher level of performance.
Right.
It's good for everybody.
100%. And yet, like, look where our state. It's just crazy to me. 10%. That should be flip-flopped.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stigma that's been involved from decades of decommissioning of truth when it
Hmm.
comes to talking about the chiropractic profession. There's been uh, a huge smear campaign with the American Medical Association towards chiropractic, and we're still doing this
Recovering.
and recovering out of the shadows
Yeah.
of the damage done.
It shows you that we work because, I mean, we're still around. So,
And,
mhm.
I do think, there is a new front happening where people are more curious about having better quality of life, not just today, but like you said, for the next 47 years.
Right?
What are people going to do? And I really believe that chiropractic is the solution to a lot of people. Even Luke, he's inspiring people to get under care and get adjusted. And I don't know, I haven't spoke to him recently, but Luke, who are you sending in to get adjusted?
Uh, well, I was trying to get my girlfriend to go, but let's say we might need to find someone a little gentler for her.
Just nice and light at first, and we'll convince her later on.
Yeah.
Actually, those are my favorite. When the husbands come in, like literally with their arm behind their back, oh fine, I'll go. And then after a few sessions, like actually just recently, this is a funny one. So this one guy, he thought so skeptical, and I'm like, you don't have to believe in me. I mean, proof is in the pudding. I'm not a religion. And so after a couple sessions, and he's like, wow, I really do feel better. And then more recently, his wife's friend came in who would never come in either. And she said, I don't know if he's saying I should see you, I'm going to see you because he said it might be you think it's your shoulder, but she's going to pull on your toe and your shoulder's going to feel better. And I'm like, okay, that's what he thinks how I work. Whatever works. So funny.
So, what are some of your favorite ways to stay engaged and connected to your community?
So, before COVID, I did a lot more. Like I was raising money for the Red Cross, and I did the Dancing with Celebrities. That's the year I learned how to do salsa. It's a local thing, not obviously the one on TV. And basically, just doing a lot of fundraising, and you meet a lot of interesting people that way. And of course, I was in BNI for 15 years, in the chamber, and a women's business group. I mean, I pretty much did everything. And then COVID kind of put all that on the burner. So this town's still not quite open.
So going through all of that, what did you resonate with the most?
Um, what's interesting is I found those kind of things really helped me get to know how people could help me and my patients. And it wasn't so much that they were in need of my care right then and there. It was more how they would say, oh, well, I have an uncle or an aunt or a brother or something. And so it eventually would come full circle and I would get business from it. But honestly, like my upholster guy, I mean, I met him through BNI, and he's awesome. He'll come at, before work, after work, because you get these relationships and they'll go above and beyond for you and your business needs. So for me, it was more the business to business aspect than getting patients. The patients really were more of a flow because of people's experiences at my clinic.
You've made it to Chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle. Yeah, I think, as Luke and I have been doing our show, we've had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Ivan Meisner, who's the founder of BNI.
Yeah.
And anytime I hear people talk about BNI, I think it's just a really impactful way for people to start finding their voice, number one.
Yes.
And doing this type of thing we're doing right now is sharing your story to an audience of people that don't know where to go or who to trust. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you start building these relationships at 7:30 in the morning on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, 90 days to 2 years in, the people that are there start to trust you. And before you know it, they're referring their friends and colleagues in to see you too. So
yeah, and I'll throw one more thing out there, because when I first joined my BNI group, the chiropractor that was in that group was in there for also 10, 12 years. And then he moved away because he retired. And it took me a year before I got my first referral from that group, because they just couldn't believe this little 12-year-old, because I'm sure I looked 12 at the time, could do anything. And I just stuck with it. And like I said, it was good for me for my business anyway, because I was like the guy that cleaned the car or the carpets, or, and I just kept using them and not expecting anything in return. But it really was the start of my practice for sure.
So talk about that. You're not the start anymore.
No.
22 years. And since I've been reading your bio, it looks like you've had some explosive growth.
Oh, yes. So my goal was never to be this big chiropractor. I just wanted to, I have kids, and I just wanted to work 3 days a week and keep my expenses down. So
chiropractor.
I know, I was such a chiropractor. And then, the job's really physical. And I thought, well, I'm going to do this till I'm 102. I'm good. And then, I'm young and invincible. And then I was 39 and I got in a really bad car accident. I blew 4 discs in my neck. I could hardly feel my fingers. 2 of my surgeon friends said, oh, dude, you need a surgery yesterday. And I'm like, I'm a chiropractor. What are you talking about? So 6 months of pretty aggressive rehab and lots of adjusting. And I threw everything at it. I finally felt like, okay, I'm going to recover from this. But if I'm a fragile egg now, if I get in another car accident, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna be out for a while. So I thought, well, what am I gonna do? Because I'm the breadwinner. At that point, my husband had taken over all the business side of things, like the billing and the taxes and all the stuff I hate doing. And I come home to a clean house and fed kids, and it's awesome. But if I'm broken, where's the money going to come in? And being a chiropractor, also we have debt. So I started researching business, and I got a business coach, and I can't stress enough how important that is to do. If you don't know business, I was successful despite myself. I named my practice after my husband's last name, which is my last name, and I bought the tiniest little office that can't be expandable. I mean, I did everything wrong, and so I learned how to systemize what worked and how to hire, how to fire, which is like a really good skill to have. Like so much I learned, and then within 5 years, I have a 3,000 square foot clinic downtown Bloomington with 3 associates. We'll be taking on 1 more. That's my limit. I'm not going to take more than that. And I have a growing team. I mean, it's just, I mean, you can make chiropractic where you can still give really good care. Patients still love coming in, because I always thought to have this kind of clinic, I'd have to have the kind of clinic that was super high volume and you had to see 70 people, and that's just not my style. I like spending time with my patients, getting them to laugh. I want to enjoy going to work, So it definitely can be done. You just got to find what works for you, and then find people who are like you, because it's like a marriage. If you don't marry someone, you have to change. You want to marry someone who you just enjoy being around, and it's a good fit for your culture and your style. And not that one style's right, one style's wrong. It's just everyone has a different style. I knew my style, and I didn't want to change me. I didn't want to change what I expected of my job. And it was done, and it's amazing.
So, who have been some people, maybe in your life or in history, real or fictitious, chiropractic or not chiropractic, who has influenced you and empowered you to become this version of yourself that you are today?
Well, here's another story I'll share. My uncle is actually a chiropractor, and he's my mom's younger brother. So he was always suggesting to take me to a chiropractor, and she's like, "No, those are quacks." And so once I had this epiphany of how amazing this profession is, he said, "Why don't you come with me to a seminar that I have to go to?" Like, he would do his seminars up for his continuing education up in Canada. He lives in California now. And so he'd go up to Canada to visit family and make it a business expense. And I am a geek, always have been a geek. And I'm like, oh, I want to go to this like seminar and learn more about chiropractic. And this seminar happened to be a guru that was teaching chiropractors how to explain what chiropractors were to lay people. Because you go to school for years and learn all these technical terminologies, and people don't care about any of that. You got to keep it in layman terms. So at 11 years old, I'm being taught what chiropractic is by the guru. I mean, and I wish I remember. My uncle doesn't even remember taking me. I asked him more recently. I was like, "What was the name of the guy at the seminar you went to?" And he's like, "I took you to a seminar," and I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, and so that when I heard him speak, I was like, "This is what I've been looking for my whole life. Like, this is what being a doctor is. Not the medical. This is what a doctor is."
Do you remember the seminar?
No, that's what I'm telling you. I was 11. My uncle doesn't even remember. How awful.
You remember the state?
It was in Canada. It was in British Columbia. I think it was in I can't. I wonder if it was in Vancouver, or Victoria. One of those. And
All right.
yeah, it was 11.
Well, we got to figure this out now.
I know. But what's funny is I was told I was too smart to become a chiropractor. I had all my scholarships in chemistry, so I was in chemistry at UVic, and the last straw was I spilled chemical on my hand and had to do a detox in the shower. I like my sun and my windows, and I was in this dark, like, with fumigators. Oh, and I'm thinking, do I want to do this the rest of my life? I mean, I'm good at it, but no. And I was like, so I switched gears. I took a year off, went to Europe, and refound myself. And I was like, no, I want to be a chiropractor still. And my professors are like, what? You want to be no.
Well, you want to work with a substance that animates the human soul.
Exactly. No, seriously.
That's the chemistry.
Right, seriously. And like, oh my God, don't get me talking on the quantum of it all. It's just fascinating. The neuroplasticity of the brain and how it's affected by the spinal cord. I mean, the science behind it is just we're just we're doing it. We don't even really understand the power of it. We really don't. Not
Elasticity, plasticity, and viscosity.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
When you get the bone to move, the ligament shifts. And when you take the pressure off the nerve, the body heals.
Yeah. And
And
it's not just the nerve, it's the blood flow in and the lymph drainage out. I mean, it's just fascinating to really think
the,
about the detail of it all.
the power that made the body
Yeah,
heals the body.
absolutely.
And that's a beautiful thing about the chiropractic profession and why I've always been fascinated by it and why I've dedicated the past 13 years of my life to supporting the profession and telling your story, as well as, being a color commentator and, with Luke and sharing our takes on why we do what we do. And, when I get a chance to hear what you're experiencing, you've learned business. You've learned business principles of how
Yeah,
you can expand outside of the wrong thing and still helping people, but now you're doing it more effectively and
yep.
doing more of the right thing, which I think is really the essence of your journey and your story. Is I was in a BNI chapter and there was a guy in there named Bob Stopka, and Bob would always tell me, you don't have to get it right, but you have to get it going.
Oh, I like that.
And that's the thing, is if you have a mission and a vision and a purpose, being a chiropractor is way cooler than being a chemical engineer.
Absolutely. For me anyway. Yeah,
Well, I think it's really awesome that you're able to share your story and to help more people and to find your vibe and your tribe. I really believe that one of the cliche things is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
right.
And when you figure that out as a practitioner, that's why it took a year, because people didn't know how much you cared because they didn't know how much you knew. And
Hmm.
once they get to know you, there's another cliche is become known, liked, and trusted. Well, I've changed one word in the middle there. It's become known, loved, and trusted.
Oh yeah.
And that's what chiropractors do in their little pocket communities all across the world, is they become the anchor of actual freedom for people to have choice of their health decisions. And
Yeah.
that's the real powerful thing. That's what is empowering a chiropractor to be that lighthouse for a community, is to know that we're not going to talk to you about the cut it out. We're not going to talk to you about the burnout. We're not going to talk to you about the drug it out. We're going to talk to you about the natural elements of living. And when you have those things in alignment, wow, you find a little 11-year-old girl that goes on to become a doctor.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're just about coming up to the edge of our time, so let's ask you our last question here, which is, what is a miracle story that you've seen in your office that sticks out in your mind above all the other ones?
Okay, so another one I'll share with you is I mean, a lot of people talk about the fertility thing. I've got so many of them, but one that really struck me was she was in a car accident and she lost her baby. And it was 4 years prior to me meeting her. And she miscarried thereafter. Um, I forget if exactly how many, it was about 5 or 6. And finally I come on and she came in for low back pain, not for fertility or anything. And I didn't want to bring it up because it was obviously very painful to her. But in my head, I'm thinking, oh, she's going to keep she's going to have a baby. And so, a couple treatments in, her low back's getting better. And then the third visit, she said she almost canceled. But she came in and she told me she almost canceled because she found out she was pregnant and she wasn't sure if she should keep the appointment because she's lost so many babies and she's really didn't want to lose this one. And I said, if you want to keep this one, keep coming, just come like once a week, I, she had lost so many anyway, like what, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. And I convinced her to keep coming. And that baby is like 10 years old now. I mean, it's just, and I see them all still. Like I just, I have so many stories like that. Like I had this one 18-year-old that came to me one day and she goes, "You won't believe this." And I was like, "What?" And I had seen her just a few times for her low back, and we were weaning her from care. And she goes, I'm pregnant. And she was like, so confused about it. And I was like, was it like, what happened? Like, why are you so confused? And she said, my doctor said I couldn't have kids. And she was with the same boyfriend for 2 years, and it worked out well. But I felt like saying on my intake form now, FYI, if you get an adjustment, one of the side effects are, please be aware of, you can get pregnant after an adjustment. So, and I know that's been talked a lot about on the show, but it is true. Like when the body is functioning well, it will literally, like, I had one patient that was told her fallopian tubes did not finish forming, and she was seeing me specifically because she had heard a lot of people who see me end up getting pregnant. And but she found this out, like, I think she was 2 months into her treatment, and she goes, "I'm going to stop coming because and obviously you can't fix that." And I'm thinking, yeah, I guess I can't. I mean, you don't have you don't have no fallopian tubes. They didn't finish forming. Well, she called me a month later. She was pregnant. Like, then the doctors were like, well, I guess the test was wrong. So after that, I was like, I don't care what the doctors say. I'm going to try. I'm going to keep trying because it's not hurting them to get adjusted. So.
Well, at this point, this is where we ask you, what are some websites or social media links you can give our listeners if they want to learn more about you and what you're doing?
My YouTube channel would be great, Drummond Chiropractic. I'm also the only Karin Drummond on YouTube so far, with an I, Karin with an I, not with an E. That would be not fun. And I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok, or our whole team's on TikTok. That is a great team builder. If you guys have more staff, do TikToks together. It's a great thing to do on a Wednesday. I mean, I'm pretty easy to find. Karin with an I, Drummond. Not too many of those around. I think there's only 3 on Facebook. I looked.
I'm going to start making a bunch of fake Karin Drummond pages to confuse people.
I'll post on them.
Of course you would.
Well, is there anything that we didn't ask you that you wanted to say to our audience since we're all here?
Well, I want to say thank you guys for doing this for chiropractic and getting the word out there. More and more people need to hear this stuff.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, it's a fun thing for us, and it's give, love, serve, and this is our servitude, and it's what we love to do. And if we could give anybody a better message, then I'd probably do something else. But I think that giving people the message of chiropractic is essential, and most people just don't know what it is, and we have a lot of work to do to peel back the layers of miscommunication from decades.
Mhm.
So thank you for being on our show as episode 342. And the tagline for today's show will be from a sick kid to a powerful chiropractor.
Love it. Thank you.
And and I think that more people need to hear your story. So keep on going.
You too, guys.
And don't stop, and just keep finding new people to tell your story to, because we need more breakthrough, and we need more people that are willing to articulate the power of chiropractic. And I just want you to have a beautiful night with your family out there in Bloomington, Indiana. And thank you for being our guest tonight.
Thanks again, guys. You have a great night.
You too. We'll see you.
See ya. Bye.
Talk soon. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.